Hey guys, Martyupnorth. As many of you who follow me know, I've been on 5 overnight trips so far this winter season, and I get a lot of questions about my snowshoes. So today I want to review quickly the MSR Revo Explore. These are this is my third pair of snowshoes. I bought these at the end of 2019, at the beginning of the winter season. And I got about 200 kilometers on the trail with these babies, and so far I'm absolutely impressed, so I just want to talk about them a little bit today. Now before we get too carried away, I just want to show you these beauties. Ray's videotaping. Zoom in on this thing, Ray. So this is actually, this is about a 60-year-old snowshoe. These are snowshoes that were at the cottage when I was a kid, and in the last 20 or so years it had just been hanging at my father's place. But this is that's why the binding is attached here. But this is a real leather binding. Snowshoes in the good old days used to be made out of wood and animal rawhide or tendons, and beauty of something like this is it could be repaired, but a lot of skill went into making a snowshoe like this. I'm kind of nervous about using them. I don't think I actually want to use them, but just want to compare that to a modern snowshoe. So the snowshoe I've been using this year, I bought these at the end of 2019. So it's the MSR. So MSR is Mountain Safety Research. So you know MSR, they make tents. They're very well known for the whisper light and stoves and things like that, but and cookware. But they also make an amazing snowshoe. And this is the Revo Explore snowshoe. And I just want to point out some of the features of this thing. So I'm in no way, shape, or form a true expert in snowshoeing, but I do know quite a bit about snowshoe. So this snowshoe, some of the modern snowshoes are tubular. This one is pressed metal, and you can see it's got quite an aggressive profile that'll designed to go across snow and icier conditions. It's a steel frame with injected molded plastic components that are riveted on. So you can buy a kit, and if you break a rivet, you can fix a rivet. Now, one thing that was really interesting about MSR this year is they went through a major revision of the binding system, and I'll talk a little bit about that in this more. But the binding is made out of a material that stays pliable even when it's minus 30 or 40. This plastic stays pliable. So a snowshoe is very simple. It's just a binding and a single pivot point, and there's there's gripping surfaces all around, and then there's 2 very aggressive crampons at the toe. So when you're climbing a hill, you tend to jam your foot in the snow and climb up. So now I'll talk about the binding in particular, and I'll show you the boots that I use for this snowshoe. So the bindings themselves are quite easy. It's a ratcheting binding system, so the red releases the black ratchet. So if I put it in like that, and I can tighten the binding by pulling on the black lever, and then if I depress the red one and pull, it removes. Now, if you look on the side of the binding here, it says medium, and I believe right there is large. So that's because you want to adjust it a little bit for the size of your foot. So I have it on medium so that I'm not ratcheting a ton, because if I have it on large, then I spend a lot of time ratcheting, and the way to adjust this real quick, it's so simple. If you push forward like this, and you remove it, and then you put it back in, now I'm on large, and now now I can accommodate a large boot, and I can do that at the rear, and I can do that at the front. At the front, it's medium and small, but I like it. I have smaller feet, so I put it on medium like that. snowshoe like this can accommodate a variety of boots. So you've seen on some of my videos, I've gone hiking with just my summer hiking boots if it's not too cold. Now I already have 200 kilometers of hiking with these snowshoes, and I'd say about 80% I did with this. So if I'm going to go do a long day, a hard day of snowshoeing, I'm going to go with this boot because this is my preferred, most comfortable boot. And I always have the same issue whether I'm snowshoeing or packing, hiking on trails. I like a tight boot that gives me firm support. But on shorter trips, like I did last weekend, or 2 trips that I've done now, I can actually bring this. This is camouflage like a hunting boot, but it's a more typical winter boot. It's a better insulated boot. But the problem with an insulated boot like this is, with this kind of winter boot is, it's flimsier, and when I have it on foot, I can feel it. Now, if I'm hiking on relatively level terrain, this is fine. But if I'm hiking on more varying terrains with more hills and side hilling, I prefer to have a tight boot. So I'm just going to put this boot right now in the harness and show you a couple things. Okay, so the MSR snowshoe is labeled left or right, so this is the right one. You'd also know by knowing that the buckles are on the outside. So if it hadn't been loosened, you just hold the red lever and loosen. And so if you were wearing your boot, you step into the snowshoe, and you kind of want to align. You want to be at about the wide spot of your foot right there. And once you're in, what I do in the field is I tighten loosely like this, and then I put on the rear. Now some very specialized snowshoe boots will actually have a lip here so that the back strap doesn't rub down, but I've never had a problem. So then when you're in the field, you just tighten this to where you're comfortable. And trust me, the snowshoe's gonna, as you move, you're gonna want to adjust it a few times, and you're gonna find your comfortable spot. A common complaint is people go too tight on the front like that, and you will start to get a rub spot. But realistically, you don't need this tight on your foot. And so there you have it. So that's your foot. Now, you'll see in some of my videos, the key with this is not so much to lift the foot when you're walking, but to lift and slide it forward. Lift and slide forward. So it takes a bit of getting used to walk with snowshoes, but I'm not going to do a whole review on walking with snowshoes. Suffice to say that these ones are, these are fairly narrow. Actually, that's another thing I want to mention. This is a 25-inch snowshoe. There is the other length of this model is 22 inches, which is 3 inches shorter. MSR recommends the 22-inch models up to 180 pounds, and then the 25-inch model if you're more than 180 pounds. I'm about 180 pounds as is, and when I'm wearing my backpack, I'm adding another 40 pounds of gear plus the winter gear, so I quickly get above the 180 pounds. So I chose the 25-inch model, and they also come with, you can also buy a set of tails that snap into here and leverage up and allow you to get more flotation if you need it. But that would be, you would be going in deep snow with a very extreme weight if you needed more than a 25-inch, because I only use the 25-inch and it's been fantastic for me so far. Now I want to show an interesting feature of these. If you are going up an incline like this and your foot is like that and you fell back, it gets tiring, because basically when you're going up an incline, you're kind of trying to stay on your tippy toes. So a few different brands of snowshoes have these elevators on the back like that give you a relief. So if you're going and you're facing a hill, it's very easy to you know, to reach back with your walking pole and kick it up, and then you're not walking so much on your tippy toes. You actually have a bit of a rest at the back there, and then when you get to the top of your hill and you're going flat again, you can easily kick this back, and you're back to your normal mode. Now, an interesting feature is when you go to remove these, when you go to take them off, you just hold the red and pull apart like that, and then you can lift your foot out, and you actually you can once you find the proper distance, the proper tightness of your binding, you don't have to release the rear one. So the next time you go back and set your snowshoe in, you can sort of step on it in the trail and kick it back a bit like that, and once you've got it back to where you want, you can just quickly get it back on. So it's not necessary to take apart the front and the back. What's the weight, Ray?
2.019.
2.01, 2 pounds. That seems heavy, but that's so again, release, open the binding, put the foot right about the wide spot, right about there. I mean, that's a matter of preference. There's not an absolute hard rule. And then tighten the back. There you go. So it can be, the binding is big enough to accommodate a heavy boot. My friend Evan has the same snowshoe, and when he went last week with us, he was wearing a pair of very heavy Baffin boots that are even bigger than these, and they fit no problem. And Evan's about a 6'2" person, and he's wearing the same length. So really fantastic. I especially like the fact that they are narrow. And you know, some styles of snowshoes are very wide, and you tend to have your legs apart, and you get hip problems. You know, it's tough to walk in them. Whereas I found these almost a natural style. They overlap a little bit, as you can see. I've been scraping them here, and but that's expected. So. Hope you enjoyed the review. It's a quick review. It's the MSR Revo Explore, the new version of this snowshoe. This snowshoe's been around for probably a decade, but for 2020 they revised the binding. So far I have about 200 kilometers with them and a zero issue. I'm very happy. Hope you enjoy this. If you like this kind of review or my videos in general, hit that subscribe button and give me a like, and we'll see you off the beaten path.